Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education that racial segregation in public schools is unconstitutional. A prayer was answered in a long struggle for freedom.
Today we commemorate the 70th anniversary of a landmark Supreme Court ruling that ended school segregation. At the White House, the president met with some of the plaintiffs in the case and their families.
They praised the ruling, saying it impacted the lives of every American. 6 years later, the New Orleans Four became the first children to desegregate 2 all-white schools. They were met with intense resistance. Leona Tate and Gail Etienne were part of another ceremony earlier this week.
Anything that you could think of that young children shouldn't go through in school, we went through. That experience, I'll never, ever forget.
And back in 2020, I spoke with Tate as work began to create a center to honor their groundbreaking accomplishment.
November 14th, 1960, 6-year-old Leona Tate prepared for her first day of school.
We had family and friends, at the house, just helping my mother, supporting her to get me prepared to come. And the black car pulled up in front of the door. I was walking 10 or 11 blocks to my old school, and to get a ride to a closer school was a luxury, and not realizing that these men were security.
The 6-year-old was oblivious to the fact she was about to make history.
And when we turned on St. Claude, the street, it was mobs of people. I didn't even recognize that they were all white. It was just mobs of people, and then police on horseback. Knowing that a parade used to pass there, I thought a parade was coming. So they started pulling their kids out of school. By 3 o'clock, they were all gone. And we were only 3 in this entire building. And that lasted the whole first grade and half of the second grade.
Leona Tate, Gail Etienne, and Tessie Prevost became known as the McDonough Three, desegregating the schools 6 years after the Supreme Court Brown versus Board of Education court ruling, making segregated schools unconstitutional.
Now you are walking into this building 60 years later.
I really still feel like I'm dreaming. I really do.
Today, they return to those halls as they are being converted and to the Tate, Etienne, and Prevost Center, a soon-to-be exhibit space, social justice education center, and senior housing facility, thanks in large part to Tate's efforts to revitalize the building after Hurricane Katrina.
I initially asked them to redo it as a school, because we had like 5 schools in this area before Katrina, but only one was coming back. And I kept saying, well, if we don't put anything for them, them to bring children back, they're not gonna, we got to put something here for them to come back.
For Tate, it's not just about saving a building, but bridging a community, one that has been forgotten.
I'm more excited about what it's going to do to this community than what my involvement in it. It needs to energize this community.
And in returning that energy back to her origin, the McDonough Three hope to also go back to what led them to make history here in the first place, so we won't find ourselves repeating it again.
The racism part started here, and I feel like this is where it's going to heal. We're going to have some racial healing here. I want it to end here.
The ribbon was cut on the TEP Center in May of 2022. It includes a historic exhibit plus 25 affordable housing apartments for seniors. You can visit Monday through Friday from 10 until 2.